Hi, folks. Welcome to the Ivy Boys podcast presented by Rebecca Lewis of Coldwell Banker Gundecker. I am your host, the Cub fan in the STL, Chipper Lewis. And as always, I am joined by my co-host, Joel Fry. Joel, what's up, buddy?
Hey, man, just hanging out here in the garage recording. I almost look like sinister and menacing. This is a good look for the first podcast of October, I guess. I got my flannel on and my face is kind of backlit in a weird way. So yeah, this is fine. I wish we'd be talking about. I'd even settle for us talking about the Cubs in the wild card game tonight, honestly. But as it is, we can thank Joe Madden for all his services and look ahead. That's what this night's all about, and that's what this offseason's all about, honestly, man, is figuring out what happened and where we go from here as Cubs fans.
Well, exactly, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about tonight. Like you said, tonight is, first and foremost, of course, our thank you to Joe for the last 5 years, the last amazing 5 years. The run has been outstanding. It's who's next, who we think is going to be the next Cubs manager, who do we think is the best fit. We guaranteed know 3 candidates that they're going to interview announced today. And also, where do you start with this team? That's that, and then of course the beer chug. But where do you start with this team? That's the last. I feel like that's going to be the big conversation, and I feel like that's a conversation we're not going to be able to end tonight. Where that's going to be a conversation that we continue on for a few episodes here on the Ivy Boys podcast.
Oh, absolutely. Up until we know the roster is completely set, and we're not going to know that until probably the way free agency has been going the last few years. We might not know that until they break for camp and spring training, who's going to be on this team and who isn't.
Right. And that's true. I mean, that is a really, really good point. So let's go ahead and start. By the way, I've decided, just looking at you now for a little bit, because you always have the goatee, but you kind of have a little bit of scruffiness beard going on here. You'll lose the glasses. You kind of have an Al Borland look going on right now.
I don't think so, Chipper.
That was good. I like that. That was great. Anyways, let's go ahead and start. Let's again say thank you, Joe Madden. Thank you, Joe Madden, for everything these last 5 years. He came in and changed the culture that was the Chicago Cubs. He changed everything. We knew going in after the 2014 season that year was going to be special. That 2015 was the year that we're going to see Chris Bryant, that we had a chance to see Addison Russell. Javi Baez was going to have another year under his belt. Jorge Soler. The kids were graduating from the minors, and they were coming up. And we knew that was coming in 2015. At the time, we didn't know who the manager was. The Cubs went and got Joe Madden. Joe Madden became available, and Theo and Jed jumped on it. At the expense of Rick Renteria, who did absolutely nothing wrong, took a bunch of kids and had them win 72 games, which, by the way, it should never be forgotten what Rick Renteria actually did in 2014. But Joe Madden replaced Rick Renteria and changed everything that was about the Chicago Cubs. He made it a winning culture, something that we never really saw. Even we felt it a little bit in 07 and 08, but we never felt like it stuck. Am I wrong on that, Joel? I mean, Joe Madden brought that winning culture to Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like you mentioned the 07-08 teams. Lou Piniella was overseeing a bunch of veterans and just letting them play ball. And, you're trying to maximize a window there with a few guys who are really talented, but knew how to play the game. Soriano, Derek Lee, and Aramis Ramirez, those guys, Ted Lilly, those guys. This was a team where, aside from one pitcher who had been proven, and that was John Lester when he came in. And even then, he wasn't there when Joe was there. It's Joe that Joe was the signal that the Cubs were ready to win.
Yes.
And they needed someone at the helm as their talented young prospects were coming up. And you knew down the pipeline, Javi Baez had come up for a little bit, and Joe knew he had talent. Javi started 2015 in the minors. You had other guys who were coming up around the same time, Albert Almora and Chris Bryant and all these players. And having Joe there was sort of that was the signal that the Cubs were ready to win. And that's something that I'm going to remember him as, the excitement of when the Cubs got Joe Maddon.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll never forget that day.
Mm. So, yeah, man, it was a different vibe completely than 07-08. 07-08 was veterans, and 2015 was, you brought in Joe, and then you brought in a veteran pitcher. You knew you were willing to spend big on John Lester, and everything that unfolded after that was just a dream for 2 seasons, 2015, 2016. Even the hangover year, you ended strong in the second half of the season. You kind of pulled what Joe Maddon was known for back then, as finishing strong, which the Cubs did each of his first 3 seasons. And no, man, I got nothing but good feelings. I got nothing but good about this whole Joe Maddon era.
I mean, it's easy. We can be armchair managers, and it's easy to criticize his bullpen moves and things like that. But at the end of the day, the man brought the Cubs their first World Series. He was the manager when the Cubs won the World Series for the first time in 108 years. Something literally the last person that can say that is what? Frank Chance?
Yes. Who was a player manager.
Yes. So Frank Chance and Joe Maddon, there's your connection between those two. And we are talking 108 years of difference.
Joe Maddon is the only manager to ever win a World Series for the Chicago Cubs.
There you go. That's crazy. That's a fun trivia fact right there. That's good. I like that. I'm going to use that.
I thought of it that way.
But no, Joe Maddon changed the culture of Chicago Cubs, and he changed it for the better. So I'm going to ask you this question. We are being timed, by the way. We're back to doing the 7 minutes. Last week was just we were not happy, so we just went on rants. This week we're keeping it more structured. So before our 7 minutes is up, where do you put Joe Maddon on the list of greatest Chicago coaches ever?
Probably second behind Phil Jackson. Although, man, that's tough because
Q?
No. He's second. Winning 3 Stanley Cups for the Chicago Blackhawks is not as big as winning a World Series for the Chicago Cubs. Really?
Okay. I get it. I get it.
Phil, if you're only going by championships, then this is a really cut and dry argument. But no. Because of the national significance of breaking the Cubs' drought, and what baseball means to America, and what that streak of championship-less seasons meant to the fabric of American pop culture. The Cubs were synonymous with losing and not winning. It's the longest drought in the history of American sports.
Yeah.
And he helped end it. He was the man who helped end it. He is the number 2 coach in the history of Chicago sports. 3 is Quenneville, 4 is Ditka.
Yeah.
Now, 4 is,
Don't say Ozzie Guillen.
Because what?
Don't say Ozzie Guillen.
No.
It's easy to
I wasn't going to say that. I was
though.
going to say George Halas.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's easy to pick the people who win the championships as coaches, but the ones that don't. Like, Lovie Smith is up there easily for me.
Mm-hmm. Well, Halas, he was the coach before the Super Bowl, so he never had a chance to win a Super Bowl.
Right.
You're looking at NFL championships. The Bears won, 7 with him?
Something like
that. You discount it a little bit because it's the 30s, 40s when football was very different, but even then they were the best team of that era, and I can't discount that.
Right.
So it's just kind of in our collective consciousness as people our age and people who might even be 50 or 60 and younger, you start to if you're only looking at that era, then absolutely Ditka's ahead of Halas. But if you look at the totality of American sports, I'd probably put Halas ahead of there for him being a pioneer of football and helping making it the most popular sport in the country.
I mean, his initials are on the jersey, or on the sleeves, on the left sleeve of the jerseys. So I would put him. And Ditka's isn't. I would put him ahead of Ditka, definitely. Mike Ditka was great. I mean, Mike Ditka was the guy, but he was the offense. He just happened to be the head coach. Buddy Ryan was a huge part of the Bears winning the Super Bowl, and everybody knows that.
Yes, correct.
As much as I love Ditka, do not
right.
get me wrong. I'm a huge Ditka fan. I think he's awesome. I love the personality, but Buddy Ryan deserves the credit for that also.
Yeah, we're in agreement that it's Phil Jackson and then everybody else, right?
Yeah, I think so. For the argument you had between Quenneville and Madden, I think you could make the argument with Madden and Phil Jackson. But ultimately, I think Phil Jackson does win out because of 2 three-peats.
Yeah.
If
he does.
If he doesn't get that second three-peat, is Madden the number 1 guy then?
No, I don't think so. I mean, that's tough to say, but no, man, Jordan. So people say how, Jordan never won a championship without Scotty. He also never won a championship without Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson did win championships without Michael Jordan.
Yep. That's true. That's a great way to end that right there. That was good. I like that. All right. That's a good point.
By the way, if you disagreed and said Joe Madden, I wouldn't be mad about it. I understand the debate. If you said Quenneville, I would understand the debate. But just from where I'm sitting, yeah, Phil Jackson is the best. He might be the best coach in basketball history. So Chicago, yes.
Yeah. Is Lovie Smith the best Chicago coach to never win a championship?
Then you get into that old argument of, back in the day, because Joe McCarthy was a Cubs manager who never won the World Series. Leo DeRocher might be a great, a great manager. Best manager never to make the postseason is probably Leo DeRocher.
Correct.
That's tough to say, man. Good. I'd have to think about that a little bit more. But off the top of my head, Lovey may very well be the best coach in Chicago history, never to. Yeah, I think so. I think so.
I do too. Doug Collins is up there because he did have Jordan before Phil Jackson, but Phil Jackson made Jordan and Pippen who they were. There was a reason Phil Jackson is number 1. That, I guess, right there I answered my own question. Phil Jackson made Jordan and Pippen take their game to another level. And that's why the Bulls won 6 championships.
Well, Jordan's game went to a different level, but I don't know if it was another level. It was like if they were both on the 7th floor or whatever, the top floor of the building, it's not like he went a floor higher. I think he just went into a different room and went, oh, okay, this boardroom has a phone. I can call people. It's not just me in here talking to myself. It's like he was still incredible before he won the championships.
Oh, absolutely.
He just was a better facilitator. So.
Absolutely, I agree. So, okay, that was a good talk. Again, thank you, Joe Madden. From the Ivy Boys, from Joel and me, thank you, Joe Madden, for everything.
Appreciate it.
The best 5 years have been amazing, and we wish you all the luck with the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim.
Right? Yeah, that's pretty much a foregone conclusion.
I mean, it's no coincidence Joe Madden became available and Brad Ausmus lost his job after 1 year. Granted, he lost 90 games, but it's the Angels. And it was 1 year. No one fires anybody after 1 year. Cubs, Rick Renteria.
Well, depending on how mad you think Theo was this conference, we'll see this upcoming year if the Cubs don't win the World Series, how long the manager sticks around.
Yeah, we'll see how long a lot of people stick around if the Cubs don't make it to the World Series next year.
We'll see who sticks around this year. I mean, that's for the future. But
that's the next segment. That's not this segment, the following segment. Our next segment is brought to you, of course, by Rebecca Lewis of Coldwell Banker Gundecker, 314-369-9680 or RebeccaSellsDream.com. Shout out to a couple people who are watching who have commented. My wife, of course, she's a Cardinals fan. She's ready for Thursday, by the way. Go Braves. And SMH Cool Boy, he's back. We have a regular. I don't think is related to either of us. So that's good. I'll take that. I'll take that 100%. So
Thanks for watching.
Yes, shout out to those two who always watch for us. And I know there's a few more of you that are watching right now. But anyways, next segment, let's move on. So Joe Maddon's out. So the Cubs need a manager before the start of, the season next year. A couple candidates have been named, internal candidates. David Ross, Mark Loretta, and surprisingly Will Venable. I don't know why I can't say his name without looking at it, but
Venable.
Yep. Venable, thank you. I put an R in there. Venable.
The venerable Will Venable.
Yes, the vulnerable Will Venable. I had said John Baker. I thought would have been a great pick. Clearly, he probably didn't want to manage, which is why he's not been chosen as internal candidate. So I get that. So I'm jumping off that bandwagon of hoping John Baker would at least get a shot. So those three are the internal candidates. We know there's someone else, and we know there's somebody who's currently on a playoff roster right now, a coach on a playoff team. Joel, out of those three candidates and possibly who else it could be, who's next?
I feel like the Cubs brought in Mark Loretta in the offseason for a reason. I honestly do. I thought it was to get him acclimated to the clubhouse, get the guys familiar with him, because he is somebody who likes to merge, from what I understand about him and what I did my research on before the season started, after I found out that he was hired. So I didn't come into, I came to this conclusion after a few weeks of figuring out what Mark Loretta is all about. Incredibly smart guy. Someone who likes to marry process-driven analytics, like what we have with Pitch Lab for the Cubs, and what the Cubs have with a lot of their statistical looks and Edgertronic cameras and everything, all that stuff. So Mark Loretta, that matters very much. At the same time, he is a former player, and that carries a lot of weight. I think the matching of those two is something that makes him the leader in the clubhouse, quite literally in the clubhouse. David Ross, I'm going to echo Theo, has a lot of great qualities. David Ross sure does, but he is not the marriage of those two philosophies in the way that Mark Loretta is, and I do feel like that's going to help Loretta out a ton. Do I worry that he's going to be a Gabe Kapler almost? Not quite, but I do have – I can't say that it's a non-zero chance if he was the manager that it would almost turn out like Gabe Kapler has been.
Yeah, I mean, why couldn't he turn out like Aaron Boone, of course, or Alex Cora, or Dave Roberts even, right?
Yeah, right.
I mean, those are good examples of what he could turn out to be. If he turns out like Dave Roberts, it's amazing. It's great. It's great, but we don't know. I mean, so you have so where do you want to fall? You're either up there as high as Dave Roberts or as low as Gabe Kapler. As long as you're somewhere in between, we're good, right?
Yes. By the way, can we stop? I've heard this from a couple of different people. I do not want Ryan Sandberg managing this ball club.
Nope.
I don't want him considered. He is not of the era that I want heading this ball club.
No, I don't even think he wants to.
I don't think so either, but at the same time, he was pretty mad when he wasn't picked the last time, and he does have major league managing experience. For the right job, I think he would do it. This is not the right job. Not for him, but for the Cubs. He is not the right guy.
Correct. I love David Ross. I love Grandpa Rossi. I love everything about him. I think he was, he was a good player. The story was great. Great clubhouse guy. He has way too many really, really good friends still on the team.
Yep.
If it's true what's come out that some players and some of the Cubs front office people were worried that it was getting too relaxed, with David Ross that wouldn't change. Even John Lester said himself, he's like my best friend. How can I take him serious if he yells at me?
That is an excellent point, and I do think that carries a lot of weight because John Lester is the most intense guy in that clubhouse, I think.
Yeah.
If he doesn't think that he'd be able to take any criticism that a manager gives them and actually apply it because it's just your buddy giving you a hard time, that matters a ton.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that makes. How can you possibly how can Rizzo do the same thing? Now, I don't know. I think it's a little bit different for Rizzo because Ross was he was a mentor in the clubhouse to begin with.
Yes.
And when you saw them interact, a lot of times it was chummy, but other times with Rizzo, it was in fact almost like a mentorship in a lot of ways. And so there, I think that I go both ways on this. It's just going to depend on the personality. And if it has to depend on the personality, then I don't know if you can bring that manager in. So I'm kind of back around where you were talking. Loretta is seen as a guy who is a boss.
Yep.
He is seen as a up here figure in the clubhouse, and he does have, I think, a powerful and good relationship with the front office. Is he going to be tethered to them where they're telling him how to make his decisions? Maybe more so than Joe, but Joe had his own way, and he'd been managing for a long time before this season. And how are you going to tell Joe no and he can take it seriously when he's won a World Series? Exactly. Loretta wouldn't have that pedigree, and so he'd be able to take suggestions from the front office more readily.
You know how I know Mark Loretta is going to have his own personality and maybe not be fully tethered to the front office telling him what to do? Did you know Mark Loretta got suspended for a game last weekend?
Yeah.
Do you know what he did?
No, what did he do?
Okay, so it was there was this play in the field against the Cardinals at Wrigley. Schwarber was sliding into third. They called him out on the tag, but it looked like Carpenter only tagged him with his forearm, not with the glove and the ball. It was reviewed, and the call stood. Schwarber was out. Mark Loretta picked up the headset and called New York and asked them why.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, so he got suspended.
I kind of hope he's the next manager. I like that story.
I do too.
I mean, based off, listen to me be a giant. What a loser I sound like. Based off one story, I hope he's the manager. Yeah.
But
with that logic, based on 270 home runs, Ryan Sandberg should be the manager.
But no, you're right, and we're hounding that point is the fact that Loretta was brought in not as a buddy. He was brought in as the second in command in the clubhouse. He was the bench coach. He was the guy doing the day in and day out work of the manager and making sure the players were following what the manager wants. That's what the bench coach does. People forget that. People don't realize how important the bench coach is. He is the person that puts what the manager wants done on the field. He is the voice of that.
Yes.
So, yes, Mark Loretta would be a really, really good choice because he's seen more as a boss than a buddy.
Loretta's my guy. I'm going to put that out there now. I don't know what other candidates are out there. I don't know who I'm going to guess it's an Astros bench coach or something, but
that's my guess. I heard a rumor Mike Maddox, possibly.
Really?
That's just a rumor I heard. I don't know if there was any credibility behind it. And I thought about how many former pitchers are pitching coaches become managers. I feel like not a lot.
No, not a lot.
Not a lot.
I'm sure I'm missing. It's more catchers.
Yeah, catcher seems to be the guy. Hey, just coax Bruce Bochy out of retirement.
That's so odd. The pitchers are never managers, but catcher. Maybe it's because the pitcher only goes out every fifth day. I wonder if that has something to do with it.
And the catcher controls the field. He's the general of the field. He's the general.
He sees everything, and meanwhile, a pitcher isn't interested in anything but their own ERA. So I get that. Exactly.
That's right. I'm a former pitcher, and I only cared about my stats. You're not wrong. Okay, so there we go. So there's our choice. I think we, not knowing the other candidates, the outside the Cubs organization candidates, who I expect maybe Raul Ibanez or somebody like that, possibly. So not knowing those guys, you and I kind of endorse Mark Loretta right now.
I can say he's the official Ivy Boys.
Yeah, right now until we find out who the other candidates are.
Sure, and we reserve the right to, as a podcast, to change our minds.
Yes, that
because
is
if Terry Francona is willing to give up the rest of his contract and become the Cubs manager, come on, buddy, come on, Tito. He's not going to do that.
No, he's not. But yes, Terry Francona would be our number one choice. Okay, so this is the Ivy Boys podcast presented by Rebecca Lewis of Coldwell Banker Gundecker, 314-369-9680 or RebeccaSellsDreams.com. Also, we're looking for sponsors. If you want to be a sponsor of this podcast and have me read or, sponsor you, read a sponsorship for you, something I lost my train of thought there for a second. I lost the word I wanted to say. Contact me at ChipperStrike3, just like my Twitter handle, just the number 3 at gmail.com. Contact me. We'll work out something where, you can become a sponsor of this podcast. We're looking for sponsors because we're looking to grow. We're looking to do other things, not only the Ivy Boys, but possibly another podcast about a certain Midwest football team that from a certain Midwest city that starts with a C and ends with an O, and in the middle is Hicog. Looking to do that. We're looking merchandise. And by doing that, we need sponsors because we need money to do that. It's just the way the world works. So if you're interested in being a sponsor of the Ivy Boys or / this possible new endeavor of ours, contact again me at ChipperStrike3, just the number 3 at gmail.com. Okay, next segment. You like that, right?
That was very nice.
Thank you.
Very good.
All right, next segment. 402 to 10. Oh, they're going to put up a little fight, aren't they?
We have a difference of opinion.
Different opinion, yes. All right, so I'm done talking about the manager. Let's say the Cubs have picked their manager. All right, where do you go from here with this team? Who's gone? Who stays? This is going to be our long segment. The timer's going to go off. We're not going to stop. That's fine. I'm just warning you now. I don't know where exactly to begin, which, makes sense for the title of the rundown. Where to start on this one, Joel? I'm going to let you go ahead.
Let's start with the untradables. And I know that Theo said no one's untradeable. Anthony Rizzo isn't going anywhere.
Correct.
We'll start with the position players because we'll eventually get around to the bullpen and everything else. But Rizzo is not going anywhere. They're going to extend Javi Baez. Javi Baez is very young and very good, and he was a 4.5 win player, and he played much of the season injured. He's the face of your franchise. Seriously, he is the number one. He's the best jersey on your team. He's the best social media darling with his phenomenal play and his exciting brand. Javi Baez will get extended. And then there's everyone else. And Hayward will opt in, so there's that. And no one's going to trade for him, so okay. So you're guaranteed to have Rizzo, Baez, Hayward. I want Kyle Schwarber to stick around. He hit over 300 since August 1st. He had a 50 home run pace, or I think 47 home run pace since August 1st. He had the same weighted runs created plus as Mookie Betts since August 1st. He was outstanding, and I can finally say that I do not believe you're going to get better in 2020 with someone other than Kyle Schwarber in left field. Like, you're not going to get better production from another left fielder. Chris Bryant, this whole trading block thing is so weird to me because if you're doing that, you're doing it for prospects. You're not doing it for third baseman of equal talent. And then you look at who you're going to put at third base aside from him. Are you going to go out in the free agent market and try and get Rendon? That's a lot of money. A lot of money. I don't feel comfortable keeping David Bodie there. Do you? I just don't feel like good with anybody but Chris Bryant playing third base for you for 130 or 140 games in 2020. So that's a worry. Even then, I mean, do you put Javi at third base. He's earned the right to be a shortstop, but you play him at third where he's phenomenal. He was incredible in 2016 when Chris Bryant played, and 2017 when Chris Bryant would play in the outfield. Do you put, if you do that, who do you play at shortstop? Nico Horner, Ian Happ at second base? I don't even know if Ian Happ's going to be here. So there's so many question marks. So the guys who aren't going to get traded, just to recap, Rizzo, Baez, and of course you have Hayward opting in. So there's 3 guys. Your trade possibilities are at the top. Apparently, Chris Bryant. I'm not for it, but I hear it. Wilson Contreras, which I do understand, and then possibly Kyle Schwarber after that, where you can get something back for them. And then, Addison Russell's gone. We're agreeing on that. Addison Russell is no longer a Chicago Cub.
Yep.
Yep. And I don't think Almora is going to be a Chicago Cub anymore.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Ian Happ's a wild card. Do you trust what he did at the end of the year? Do you think he turned a corner? He was named Player of the Week the last week of the season. That's a really odd time. Woohoo. So that's where I kind of am on the guys at the top of my head. You can shoot Descalzo out of a cannon, and that Victor Caratini is probably on the team. I don't think he's going anywhere.
I agree.
Do you trust Caratini to catch 120 games if you trade Contreras? And it depends on what you trade him for. And then you got Amaya coming up, so he might be a guy in the second half of the season who makes a difference. Not all is lost.
No.
For the Cubs, but you got about 3 or 4 pieces that you need to move, and 2 of them you're probably not going to get anything back for, which is too bad because you're not going to get anything back for Almora, and you're not going to get anything back for Russell.
Correct.
If you find a trade partner for them.
Well,
why don't you just Russell?
Russell most likely will just be gone. He's not going to be traded. He's not going to be tendered a contract or whatever level he's at. Russell will be gone. Almora, I agree with you on Almora 100% based on the fact Theo said that the front office was being stubborn when it came to moving on from certain players.
He was the guy, right? That was him.
That was Albert Almora Jr.
Yeah. Because you don't feel stubborn about a guy who hit 38 home runs.
Correct.
And hit 302 after August 1st. That's not a guy who you go, geez. That's someone who you feel rewarded for waiting on. Because his OPS in September was, oh, man. He might have turned a corner. He might be Babe Evan Roof now. Meanwhile, Almora might be Rafael Bornegal.
If I'm not mistaken, Kyle Schwarber and Mookie Betts had the same WRC plus this season.
Did they?
Yeah.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that's what I read. I think it was 151 or something like that.
Yeah, actually, I said that a little bit ago.
Oh, I thought you said since August 1st. I'm talking about the whole year.
No. No, Schwarber's WRC plus for the whole year is about 120.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's fine. That's all right. That's why I'm not the stat guy. I'm okay with that. Gosh, where to go? My first thought is I'm going to take Chris Bryant and I'm going to put him in your untradeable.
Okay. All right.
Because you said it. Who are you going to get to play third base that is going to be better than Chris Bryant next year?
Unless you move Javier Baez to third base and create a new role for yourself, nobody.
Exactly. Why would you do that to yourself? Because now who plays second base? Because now you're moving Nico to shortstop. So Nico, if you trade Chris Bryant, you move Javi to third, that makes Nico your starting shortstop, correct?
Yes, which means that Ian Happ is probably your starting second baseman.
Okay, so let's say they don't re-sign Nick Castellanos. So that means they re-sign Nick Castellanos?
Yes, that is the only way that happens. I was thinking about that as you were talking, like that, because then you got to play Hayward in center.
Correct.
And Nick in right and Schwarber in left. And then, by the way, if you do that, you're kind of just running the same team back that scored a lot of runs this year, but did not get you to the playoffs.
Correct.
So where's the giant change? Getting rid of Almora and Russell is not giant change. Trading for Contreras, who, by the way, again, I'm going to say your best trade piece is Wilson Contreras.
Correct.
And for what Victor Caratini does defensively, he doesn't have a strong arm. He might be a better framer. I'm not good at reading that in real time. His bat seems like it came alive some this year. Do you take the drop off in productivity to be a little bit cheaper and possibly get back some real important pieces that'll help you in 2021, 22 as you're trying to bridge the gap to the next championship Cubs team? Maybe you could get some really good back Wilson Contreras. I love the guy, but he's a major asset out there in the world of baseball.
Ultimately, you're going to save money by trading Wilson Contreras. He's going to get a huge raise in arbitration. The guy's making like $600 and something thousand. He's going to get a huge raise in arbitration and save money that way because the Cubs have other holes, a.k.a. possibly the starting rotation.
Yeah.
And the bullpen. So now if you can save money at Wilson Contreras, you lose a little pop in the offense, but you expect the pop coming from some other players in the offense. Look, if Javi was fully healthy all year, if Javi's fully healthy, if Chris is fully healthy, if Anthony Rizzo stays fully healthy, and Kyle Schwarber is Kyle Schwarber he was after August 1st, are you really missing Wilson Contreras' bat? Or would you rather be able to cover a mediocre at bat with that lineup and have an outstanding person defensively behind the plate?
Yeah, I agree with you.
So, Vic Caratini and, heck, bring back Lucroy as the backup. Even.
I'm not. I mean,
it's just somebody I'm thinking. I can't think of anybody else who's available right now, but
that's fair. That's fair. It's a shallow market for catchers, which is why Contreras is so valuable.
Exactly. And to your point, you have Amaya, who very well could impact this team in the second half. Very well could. I mean, the guy's in Arizona and he's hitting. So, I mean, and think about Nico. Nico was supposed to be in Arizona, but no, he finished up this year, playing for the Chicago Cubs as a starting second baseman.
Yep.
So, in my scenario, that I'm thinking, I think the Cubs are going to focus more on starting pitching. I don't know if Nick Castellanos comes back. Would I be mad if Castellanos came back? Absolutely not. Do I expect the Castellanos that we got after the trade deadline from Detroit? Absolutely not. He's going to digress a little bit.
Yeah, he's not going to hit 60 doubles.
Exactly. So how much of a drop-off is there going to be in Castellanos, and is it worth it to sign him to a $11 to $13 million a year deal?
I would say maybe even 15. I think he might sign a 5 for 75 deal.
If it's 15 or more, you walk away.
Okay.
Because you have about $50 million roughly to play around, money to spend this offseason. And
you got to put it Garrett Cole.
You have to get Garrett Cole. That or you have to try your hardest to keep Garrett Cole away from the Cardinals.
Do you offer the Astros pitching coach the manager position and then sign Garrett Cole to make sure that whatever voodoo they did on him in Houston continues?
I mean, that's kind of like where I was thinking when I heard that it might be the Astros. I didn't realize it was the pitching coach. I heard that it might be one of the coaches from the Astros. So my mind went there. So my next question is Robinson Chirinos. I need you to look. Can you look it up or I'll look it up?
I'll need you to look it up.
Robinson Chirinos, how long is his contract with the Houston Astros? Because he would be a very interesting catcher, if you move Wilson Contreras to back up Vic Caratini.
Mm-hmm.
So, as I'm looking that up, sing a song amongst yourselves. Let's see here. He's a free agent.
Oh, that's very convenient.
He's a free agent.
I'm excited.
I'm ready to trade Wilson Contreras.
Okay.
If you can get
Very cool.
Robson Chirinos and possibly Garrett Cole and go along with the Astros coach as your manager, that makes this team so much better.
Yes.
So much better. Kyle Hendricks can be your ace. I don't know if he... It's weird. It's weird.
Whoa. You Darvish.
Oh, you
is your
Darvish.
ace.
Yeah. You Darvish is your ace.
Dude,
Garrett Cole would be your new ace.
I will have no talk of other aces until we have someone better than you Darvish, because what he did in the second half of the season earns him ace status.
Guess who used to catch you Darvish in Texas?
Was it Trinos?
You know it.
It's almost too perfect.
Okay, so here on the Ivy Boys podcast, we have traded away Wilson Contreras.
He's gone.
He's gone.
Ex-Cub Wilson Contreras. I'm going to call him
Wilson
that until...
Contreras to the Arizona Diamondbacks with Dwayne Underwood Jr. for Ketel Marte.
Interesting. I don't hate it. He's
They need a catcher.
How old is Marte?
He's like 27, 28.
All right, that's fine.
He might be younger than that.
Contreras, by the way, Wilson Contreras, deceptively old. He's like 28.
Yes,
He was
that's true. Man, and then the Cubs get their center field and leadoff hitter. Then you don't have to sign Castellanos. You can have Hayward, Marte, and Schwarber, Bryant, Baez, Nico, Rizzo, platoon of Caratini and Chirinos, and then Garrett Cole, you Darvish, Kyle Hendricks, pick up Jose Quintana's $11 million, and John Lester.
Yes, and then you have a bullpen of
Kimbrel, Wick, Ryan, Wick, and that's
Alec
it.
Mills.
Yeah, and Chatwood.
Yep.
Unless, of course, you can move Chatwood. If you can move Chatler to Arizona with the Wilson Contreras Dwayne Underwood Jr. trade, that would be preferred, because $13 million for a long reliever, I think, is way too much for that role.
Way too much. And here's the nice thing about Chatwood is he did recoup value this year. He pitched very well.
Yeah.
So he recouped value.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. So I think we just fixed the Cubs.
We did. This is a World Series team in 2020.
Do you bring back Kinsler for $5 million, less than $5 million? Because he's probably going to ask for less than $5 million.
Yeah, I think you do.
Yeah, I do too.
So we'll see what arbitration does for some of these guys. We'll see what their arbitration numbers are. But if you have money to play around with, I say bring back Kinsler. He did nothing to lose your faith this year.
Strop and Cishek, thanks for everything. Goodbye. See us, Cishek. We'll mail your arm after you leave. We'll mail it to your new clubhouse so they can sew it on for you. Pedro Strop, thank you for everything. For the fun that he brought to this ball club. The hats to the left, to dress like Pedro Strop Day. Pedro Strop, awesome.
For wearing too much cologne, apparently, too. Oh, yeah. Multiple guys said that he wears too much cologne.
I heard that. Yeah, it's sad to see some of these players go, but it's for the best.
Yep.
It really is. So you can fill in a couple gaps here and there. See, look, David Phelps has a $5 million option now. See ya. I'm not paying David Phelps $5 million. Remember the people who were up in arms that the Cubs didn't re-sign Jesse Chavez for $2 million? I don't even think he was on Texas's team to end the year. I think he was in the minors.
Yeah. Sometimes it's almost as if the front office knows what they're doing. And then other times, they signed Daniel Descalso.
Yeah, that was weird. That was weird. I think that was a shot. I think it was a shot at Ricketts. I think that was Theo's shot at the ownership. You really don't want to give me X amount of money to go sign Bryce Harper? Well, I'm going to sign Daniel Descalso.
I don't think Theo has that level of vindictiveness in him if he knows it's going to hurt his ball club. Because the best way to get everybody is to win the World.
See, that's why I don't think I'd be a good general manager. Because I would sign Daniel Descalso out of vengeance to my owner.
Giant middle.
But please keep signing my checks.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm happy. I would be very happy with those moves. I would. You keep Chris Bryant. You trade Wilson Contreras. Sign Robinson Chirinos. Sign Garrett Cole. Your new manager's the guy from the Astros. And then you trade Contreras for Ketel Marte.
There you go.
Yeah. There you go. We just won the Cubs the World Series next year. What can I say? We're good at that.
Go, Chip.
We're good at that. Do we want to talk about Mitch Moreland and the Toronto Blue Jays and how amazing fit that would have been a few years ago?
This again. All right, look. I think we're overdue for some beer. I want to drink, and then I'm having a late supper tonight, so I'm looking forward to it, man.
All right, let me do the commercial. All right.
Please do.
If you don't want to strike out and sell in your home.
Can I just mention something real quick?
Yes.
Your mom is really good at selling houses.
She's amazing at selling houses.
She's good at her job, man.
She's awesome at her job.
Fully endorse. If you just gave me a sheet of paper and said this is how many were sold and these are the days, I would. Wow, that is mind blowing. So
4 hours on a house. It was on the market for 4 hours and she sold it. You know how ridiculous that is?
That's pretty crazy.
That's like, wait, you just did, like, if you're those homeowners and you're like, okay, well, we probably have like a week or so. We can look also and no rush. And then boom, 4 hours, Rebecca Lewis calls you and says, I just sold your house.
Is Rebecca Lewis too good at selling houses? My column.
Yeah. On the Chicago Sun-Times that nobody reads. So hopefully that doesn't happen.
Yeah, boy, let Tallender write that piece.
Oh, what did he say? What did Gordon Wittemeyer just say recently? He said something that was.
Isn't he a Trib guy or is he?
Is he a Trib guy? No, he's a Forbes guy now. No.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Is he or Phil Rogers a Forbes guy? One of them is a Forbes guy, and that guy he totally just took Theo's press conference and said that Bryant and Rizzo are on the trade block. That's how he took it. That's Phil Rogers. Yeah, that's Forbes. He's with Forbes. So remind me to cancel my Forbes subscription. Just like you were going to cancel your Des Moines Register subscription.
Yeah. Phil Rogers is he's a guy who used to be a guest on the show that I produced back 10 years ago on ESPN Radio here in Des Moines. A super nice guy, just was flat out wrong many times this year. Many times.
A lot, yeah. He's the Bob Nightingale. He's like Bob Nightingale.
That almost feels like a bit. That almost feels like he's intentionally trying to be bad at his job.
I know. He says something and the exact opposite happens. It makes no sense. Anyways, if you don't want to strike out and sell in your home, contact the MVP Realtor of the St. Louis area, Rebecca Lewis, with Coldwell Banker Gundecker, can answer all your questions related to selling your home fast. Her detailed marketing plan will outline her impressive online presence and a recommended professional list that includes contractors, painters, home staging, and a home cleaning service that will keep your home at the top of any buyer's must-have list. Rebecca knows this area, can expertly consult you on your area's property values, information about housing trends, and how Coldwell Banker Gundecker will get your home sold fast. So, call Rebecca Lewis at 314-369-9680 to get your home on the market now. All right, it's beer time. Let me cue up the music. Get this all situated.
Okay, I am drinking Fender's Oktoberfest. It's not a full glass because I just bought one crowler of it. My wife did. Love you, hon. But it's enough to where I am so excited for this. Fender's is the brewery in my town, Polk City, Iowa. They are spectacular. I love them. I love going over there. Great people own them, own the place. They do fun trivia nights, all kinds of great things. They're awesome. So here we go.
Yes, I am drinking Kona Brewing Company out of Hawaii, apparently.
Ooh.
Brewed and bottled in Fort Collins, Colorado. For Kona Brewing Company, Kona, Hawaii. So the original brewery's in Hawaii. But they obviously can't ship it from Hawaii. It'd be a lot more expensive. So I get it. So it's brewed in Fort Collins, where Anheuser-Busch has a brewery, which would make sense. So I'm drinking their Big Wave Golden Ale. I enjoy some kind of ales every once in a while, so we'll see what happens here. Let me go ahead and get this all set up, turn up the music. Go anybody but Brewers and Cardinals.
That's right.
All right, cheers.
Cheers, my friend.
Hang on, I had just finished another beer right before this, so this is hurting. Nope, I totally just Aaron Rodgers that.
Dude, you okay?
I'm fine, but I couldn't finish it. I just Aaron Rodgers it.
That's all right.
Ooh.
I
Man,
chugged mine, of course.
Yeah.
That is really smooth. Like Oktoberfest beers. What's your favorite Oktoberfest? Mine's probably St. Adams, or I tried Leinenkugel on your recommendation. That might be my new favorite Oktoberfest.
I had it 2 weeks ago on the podcast. It was Schlafly's Oktoberfest. Local brewery here, biggest brewery in St. Louis outside of Anheuser-Busch. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was better than St. Adams.
Very cool, man.
I have yet to try the Leinenkugel. Or no, I did. I recommended it to you, but it's been a while.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
It was super tasty. I loved it.
I definitely will have to try that again.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm disappointed in myself. Also, we had Popeyes. And right before I came up here to start doing this, I ate 3 pieces of Popeyes chicken, mashed potatoes and gravy, and coleslaw and 2 biscuits. I'm really full.
I'd be jealous, but my wife is the best cook I've ever met, and she's making meatball subs right now. And she's let me know that I gotta go and eat one.
Okay, well, awesome. So we'll go to final thought. You ready to go final thought? I'm ready to go final thought. Joel, your final thought.
Final thought is that clearly the Cubs are winning the 2020 World Series. As long as they follow exactly what we mentioned to a T, there is no chance that they lose the World Series. And what's nice is if they don't follow everything we said, which they won't, we can come back and say, boy, if only they had done all those things that we said on October 1st, because then they would win the World Series. So I love the fact that we have now declared our intentions for the Cubs. We've covered our bases and knowing that it won't actually happen, so we can we're on the internet, so that we can bitch and moan about it later when inevitably they only win the World Series in 6 games instead of sweeping the American League counterpart.
You sweep the world, so you sweep the World Series with Robinson Chirinos.
Yeah, obviously.
That is what we're saying here, clearly.
Yeah.
That's good. My final thought is I don't really have one. I mean, I just laid it out for everybody. This last 53 minutes, we laid out what I think should happen with this Cubs, where we go from here. It all starts after the postseason. We have to endure this month of playoff baseball that the Chicago Cubs, for the first time in 4 years, are not part of. 5 years. Are not part of. We have to endure our 2 biggest rivals, the Brewers and the Cardinals, being in it. So I recommend jumping on a bandwagon of a team like Tampa Bay, Oakland, or Minnesota. Because you have no emotional investment. It is just fun. Or you know what? Jump on Houston's bandwagon because, darn it, they're fun to watch. They are fun to watch.
They are. I'm going Twins. That's my my
too.
postseason team is the Twins.
Oh, yeah. No, me too. That was going to be my next question. What do you got? You got Twins win the whole thing like I do somehow?
I got Dodgers beating the Twins.
I wish the Twins would win it all. I don't think it's going to happen because I don't see them getting past Houston. LA for the 3rd straight year. Just the maid of honor.
Fine, I'm fine with that.
Me too.
But yeah, I got Dodgers over the Twins.
Okay, so the Dodgers finally win it in your books.
In my book. And if the Twins win it, whee! That sounds great.
I will
That's
pop.
exciting.
I will pop a bottle of champagne if the Twins win the World Series. Live.
I'm gonna be in Minneapolis For nine, I'll buy a World Series champ shirt while I'm up there.
There you go. I will record me popping the bottle of champagne. I will find some sort of Minnesota connection and spray the bottle of champagne all over it. Somewhere in this house, I have a connection to Minnesota. I know I do. I just don't know where yet.
Okay.
I'll find it. But
Google
yes.
it. You'll find something.
Yes. So that's that. There you go. There you go. Okay. That's it for us. Follow us on Twitter at the Ivy Boys. Follow me, the Cub fan in the STL, Chipper Lewis at Chipper Strike 3, just the number 3. Follow Joel on Twitter at Fry Sports Radio. Like us on Facebook, all that fun stuff. Like and subscribe to this YouTube page, because the more views and the more subscribers we have, the better it looks when we go to sponsors. Because that's, isn't that the American dream, is to make money somehow? So you stop working for someone else and just work for yourself. That is not going to happen in this sense, unless, of course, a miracle happens. But, you never know. You got to start somewhere, and that's where we are now. So if you want to be a sponsor to this, contact me at chipperstrike3@gmail.com. So like and subscribe to the YouTube page. Keep an eye out. We might have some news soon. We might still be working on a name. I never got Joel's response to this new name.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it off the air. So there's that. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't happen. You guys don't know. So it's not like we're disappointing anybody. Anyways, so yeah, we'll leave that there. Go to our website, theivyboys.com. Blogs, vlogs, things like that, all over the website. If you like the way the website looks, you know the work. You know the drill. You scroll down, you pass Rebecca Lewis of Coldwell Banker Gundecker, and you see Bob's name. Bob Rufo of BobDoesWork.com. BobDoesWork.com. BobDoesWork.com does amazing work. He also came in second place in the Ivy Boys Fantasy Baseball League this year. Congratulations to the winner, Mitch Glover, Providence Grays. I'll be in contact with you at some point to possibly talk about a hat or a shirt or something. We'll see. But anyways, Bob, if you want your website looking like ours, or you need logos like what we have, Bob Rufo does great work. BobDoesWork.com. He can get anything done for you. He puts what is in your head on paper. That's what he does. We will give you him and his buddy Vince will give the highest recommendations, because without them, we would not be talking to you right now live on YouTube. It's simple as that. Joel and I would not have been able to figure this out. I don't think we could have. Joel, could we? No. You see he's shaking his head.
No. You kidding me?
No. Yeah. So anyways, definitely check them out for any of those needs. Otherwise, that's it for us. We appreciate the support, and we'll see you guys next episode. Go Twins.
Go Twins.